What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Week 1 is officially here, New York Giants fans. I'm really excited. Start of football season actually starts tonight. Thursday Night Football is the defending Super Bowl champion Rams take on the Buffalo Bills. Could easily be a preview to this year's Super Bowl. So I'll definitely have my eyes glued to the TV tonight watching that. But in this video, we're going to talk about our team. We're going to talk about the New York Giants, a team that a lot of you guys coming in, you're going to be nervous. You're going to come in with moderate expectations, and everybody's going to take this year for what they will. I'm going into this year not stressing week to week, knowing that this is a rebuild, knowing that this is year one, knowing that there's a lot of unfamiliarity on both sides of the football, but hoping to see progress throughout the course of the season. And maybe my opinion will change as the season progresses. If we upset the Titans, who knows how we will feel as a fan base. Of course, the New York Giants have not started 1-0 since I think it's 1300 BC. So it's been a really long time since we have had a winning record. It's been a long time coming. All joking aside, I think it's been since 2016 since the Giants have been over 500 at any point during the regular season. But we go into it with a clean slate. We're unbeaten, and the Tennessee Titans are winless. So maybe the New York Giants could find a way to go into Tennessee and pull off an upset, something that a lot of teams struggled with last year. Last year, the Tennessee Titans went 7-2 at home. Okay. So obviously it's tough to go in there and win a football game. They were the number one overall seed in the AFC. Last year, if you want to look at it from a glass half full perspective, they did lose the home opener, the opener of the season, I believe, 38-13 against the Arizona Cardinals. After that, however, they went 7-1 at home, 7-2 overall, and had some very impressive wins. They beat the San Francisco 49ers. They beat the New Orleans Saints. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat the Buffalo Bills, and they beat the Indianapolis Colts. Some of those are some of the better teams from within the NFL. And last year, the Titans were one of the better teams from within the NFL. And we'll get into some of the key departures and some of the key acquisitions that they brought in. But this is still a good football team. Mike Vrabel still a very good head coach. He's been the head coach for the Tennessee Titans for the last 4 years, has not had a losing season. And the one thing I think about with the Titans is they are very fundamentally sound. They're a team that's going to beat you. They're physical. They're a run-heavy team. They're going to stuff the run. That's what they do. That's what they excel at. And they are a very, very sound defense. Now, they did have an injury on that defensive line that we'll jump into that maybe the New York Giants could find a way to exploit. And, of course, they lost their best weapon in the passing game in A.J. Brown, but they went out there and brought in some pretty good targets as well in free agency and the draft that we'll talk about in this video. So definitely a tall task for the New York Giants week 1, being that we are very unfamiliar on both sides of the ball. Brand new head coach. You're going up against the Vrabel, who, like I said, has been coaching this team for 4 years. This team knows what they're best at. They know what they're going to do going into this game. If you want to look at it from an optimistic standpoint, if you're a Giants fan, I suppose you could say we have the benefit of unpredictability. You don't know what the Giants are going to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with this kind of morphed offense between Kafka and Daboll. Really excited to see how they game plan against this strong Tennessee Titans defense. On the defensive side of the ball, Wink's going to blitz. We all know this. He is going to blitz. It's just a matter of how he does it, right? Who he's going to send on a play-to-play basis. But the Giants are going to be ultra-aggressive in this game. And obviously, the number one focal point on defense has got to be to try to stop King Henry. He's their guy. He's their most important player in their offense, and that's where it starts. They set everything up with the run in this offense. If we could find a way, which is much easier said than done, to stop or limit Henry, it would go a long way towards the New York Giants potentially pulling off a massive upset week 1 against the Titans. In terms of how the experts in Vegas see it, they have the Titans as a 5.5-point favorite going in. The Giants are a pretty strong underdog here, right? That's nearly a touchdown. They have the over-under at about 43.5. So Vegas is telling you they see kind of a 24-17, 23-17 type game in favor of the Tennessee Titans going in, if you go based off of those lines, which to me seems fair. That's probably where I think most people would have it going into this game. We'll talk about some of the things that the New York Giants need to do in order to surprise people and potentially pull off a massive upset. In terms of the injury report going in, not too many notables for the Tennessee Titans. I suppose Elijah Molden is probably the biggest from what I read, but even he is not one of the starters. I think he's their third, maybe even fourth corner. Lonnie Johnson did not practice. Molden did not practice, and then limited participation was Chance Campbell and Jamarco Jones for the New York Giants. The Giants did not practice today, so this will not change until tomorrow. but they had 4 limited participants. That was Dane Belton, Azeez Ojulari, Sterling Shepard, and Kayvon Thibodeaux. From what I have read on Twitter, it looks as if there's a very strong possibility Sterling Shepard will suit up in this game. The question is, how will he be used? Is he going to be a feature wide receiver? Dane Belton sounds as if there's a decent chance he'll play, along with Ojulari. That could change. I'm holding out hope that he'll be able to play as well. He's had a hamstring and now a calf injury throughout training camp, but it seems hopeful that he'll be able to suit up week 1 as well. Far from a sure thing, though. And Kayvon Thibodeaux, I'm going to go into it assuming he will not play. If he does, great. But I think the Giants are going to handle him with kid gloves, and I wouldn't expect to see him out there even potentially week 2. But I'd be very surprised if he plays week 1, which means we're going to have some of our depth guys step up in that edge rusher room. We're going to have to get quick pressure on Ryan Tannehill when the Titans decide to throw, being that we do have some holes in our secondary that I'm sure the Tennessee Titans will look to exploit. In terms of some of the key additions and departures for the Tennessee Titans, their biggest key departure, as we know very well as Giants fans, is A.J. Brown. The trade on draft night when the Philadelphia Eagles acquired the former number 1 wide receiver for the Titans that they later replaced with a draft pick with Treylon Burks, who we'll jump into as well throughout this video. Also, they also brought in terms of weaponry, Austin Hooper, who is a pretty good tight end, decent pass catcher in the pass game. Along with that, Robert Woods, the former Buffalo Bill, the former Ram, guy that could kind of line up in the slot, could play him a bit on the outside, a very strong wide receiver option for the Titans, and a guy with it we're going to have to worry about week 1, who's probably going to be the Titans' number 1 option in the passing game. Will be the focal point, I think, in terms of, manning up on. Another key departure for the Titans was Roger Saffold. The interior offensive lineman was actually a Pro Bowler last year for the Titans at the guard spot. From what I read, though, did struggle a bit in pass protection. He ended up with the Buffalo Bills. The main reason why the Titans let him go, he was a cap casualty. They saved, I think, $10 million on this year's cap by letting him go. And we'll jump further into their depth chart. First, we're going to start with the Giants. This is the starting offense. Not a ton of surprises here. Daniel Jones, Daniel Bellinger, Kadarius Toney, Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas, Ben Bredesen, John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, Evan Neal, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Kenny Golladay. They have Sills on the unofficial depth chart slightly above Darius Slayton. I found that interesting. And Shepard, I would guess, will be the wide receiver 4. As of now, they have him backing up Kadarius Toney. Obviously, you're going to see Shepard work a bit in the slot. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot of 4 and some 5 wide sets going into this game. Make no mistake about it. Go back and look at Buffalo. Go back and look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously where our 2 offensive play callers come from. So expect to see Shepard involved for sure, even though he's the wide receiver 4. The offensive line, from what we've heard going into this week, there's going to be a competition at that left guard spot. There's like 4 guys they're looking at, Azudu being one. But I'm going to assume, based off the unofficial depth chart, that Ben Bredesen will get the nod, at least to start the year week 1. And, one thing you certainly got to worry about on that offensive line, not just week 1, but early in the year, tons of unfamiliarity, right? Going up against a strong Tennessee defense, especially on the interior. We're going to highlight a player on their interior defensive line that we really got to worry about. And that's kind of the biggest weakness for our offensive line. So I expect to see the New York Giants have a lot of H-back sets, meaning Chris Myrick could be a really important player in this game, to kind of help protect Daniel Jones. I expect a lot of mass tons of blocking, having a ton of blockers out there, a lot of 2 tight end sets, mass protection out there for Jones. We got to do our best to keep him upright in this game. In terms of the starting defense, you've got Dexter Lawrence, you got Leonard Williams, you got Azeez Ojulari, who may or may not play. Kayvon Thibodeaux, again, I expect him not to play, so expect to see O'Shane Ximines slot into the starting lineup. Jihad Ward would start, I would assume, if Azeez Ojulari is unable to play. Hopefully he can. In the middle, interestingly, they have Tate Crowder and Austin Calitro as the starters. Calitro, of course, replacing Blake Martinez. Micah McFadden, I guess, does have a shot to start, but that's going to be a big, big focal point in this game, and those guys are going to have to stand tall against King Henry. On the outside, you got Adoree Jackson, you got Aaron Robinson, you got Darnay Holmes, you got Julian Love, and Xavier McKinney. No surprises there. I expect Dane Belton, if he does play, to be the 3rd safety. Expect to see a ton of 3 safety sets. And 2 guys that are going to be really important in this game. We know, as I keep saying, Henry's going to be the guy that we really have to worry about. Lawrence and Justin Ellis, I think, is going to play a big part. I expect to see both those guys out there a lot, trying to stuff the middle and to force Ryan Tannehill to throw the football. In terms of the depth chart for the Tennessee Titans, Right now, as you see at the top, Treylon Burks is listed as a backup. I expect him to get a good amount of reps in this game. Clearly, the guy you got to worry about. He's a first-round pick, 6'2". We will be put to the test. Austin Hooper, the starting tight end. Taylor Lewan, Aaron Brewer, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, and I think it's Petit Freer. I remember him in the draft this year. I think he's out of Ohio State, was a third-round pick. That is a spot that the Giants are going to have to find a way to try to take advantage of. A starting rookie third-round right tackle. If there's a hole in this offense, that is it. And the Giants are going to have to find a way to get pressure off that side of the line. Hopefully, we could find a way to exploit that. Maybe that'll be Zimenez paired up on him. I'm not too sure. But whoever it is has to try to take advantage of that matchup. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill, Robert Woods, and Derrick Henry are the three main offensive pieces. As far as the defense goes, of course, they had a huge injury to their defense, in which Harold Landry will be out. He had 12.5 sacks last year, led the Tennessee Titans in that department. They have DeMarcus Walker. They have Tart playing the nose tackle. Jeffrey Simmons, really got to worry about him. The Titans run a 3-4. They're not nearly as aggressive as the New York Giants. We'll dive further into that. Bud Dupree, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, we all remember him week one a couple of years ago where he destroyed us. David Long, Zach Cunningham, Autry, the outside linebacker, Roger McCreary, will actually be getting the start, at least as of now, according to their unofficial depth chart. He's a rookie, second-round pick. The reason, from what I've read, why the Titans decided to start McCreary over Farley is because they feel like he matches up better with the New York Giants wide receivers. They're shifty wide receivers, Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, so on and so forth. Kevin Byard, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, had a 90 PFF grade last year for the Titans. Their best player on this defense, Hooker and Christian Fulton. If there's a weakness, their main weakness, I should say, I think at least, to the Tennessee Titans defense, it's going to be the corners, for sure. Like I said, you got a second-round corner, and their other corner's not very strong either. So I think that is the weakness to this Tennessee team. Their strength, I mean, when you look at it, their strength, no doubt about it, is going to be Jeffrey Simmons and stopping that run game. I think the Giants will try to feature the run, especially being that our offensive line, I think, is stronger in terms of the run blocking department. But they're going to struggle there. They're going to have to get creative in terms of the run game. Maybe some direct, sweeps off the outside, some end arounds, maybe some RPOs with Daniel Jones. They're going to have to get very creative in order to establish some kind of ground game in this. Because if you look at the Titans last year, they were arguably the best run defense in the National Football League. They still have Jeffrey Simmons. So I think that's going to be a tall task, which means I think the Giants are going to have to try to throw the football a good amount to win this football game, which I'm excited about. We have to find out what we got in our guy in Daniel Jones. Their weaknesses are on the outside. But at the same time, our weakness is probably our offensive line, being that there's so much unfamiliarity there, especially in the pass blocking department. So I think we're going to see a lot of mass protection for this Giants football team. They're going to have to scheme up quick separation. Make no mistake about it. And hopefully we can take advantage of the Titans secondary. In terms of the Titans run defense, it is good. It is very good. Last year they surrendered let me make sure I got my numbers right here. Last year, the Titans surrendered only 1,438 yards rushing. They only had 3 games in which they gave up over 100 yards within a single game on the ground. That ranks second in the National Football League. They only surrendered 3.9 yards per carry, which ranked 4th in the National Football League. So they're going to stuff the run. I mean, maybe Barkley will break a run or two. I love Saquon Barkley. I think he needs to be the focal point of this offense this year, but that is not where we're going to win this game. If we're going to win this game, we're going to have to pick up third downs. Another spot where the Titans were very strong last year. They ranked 7th in the National Football League. Teams only converted 37% of the time on third downs against their defense. But we're going to have to pick up third downs. We're going to have to find a way to win the time of possession. That is the strength of this Titans football team. They wear you down over the course of the game. Last year, the Titans ranked 2nd in the entire league in time of possession at 32 minutes and 18 seconds per game. They only lost the time of possession battle 4 times out of their 17 contests. I don't expect the Giants to win the time of possession, but it has to be fairly close. We can't get worn down over the course of the game, because if we do, it will be lights out in the fourth quarter going up against King Henry. It just will be. They also, another major strength to this Titans defense last year, they were 4th in the National Football League in red zone defense. The biggest weakness for the Giants over the last 2 years was the red zone offense. Good news, we have a brand new scheme. We have a brand new play caller. all of our weapons are healthy. So you have to figure we'll be stronger in that area, but we will be put to the test week 1. The Giants have to find ways to not just settle for threes every time we get there. But a big key to this game is not turn the ball over like every week. Find a way to win the time of possession. But I think we're going to have to throw. I think we're going to have to open up the offense in order to move the chains against this very strong Tennessee defense. In terms of some other interesting stat lines regarding the defense, they're not nearly as aggressive as the New York Giants are going to be. Wink, well, being the defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens, you can only assume is going to bring that same mentality to this New York Giants defense. Led the NFL in blitz frequency 3 out of his 4 years. He set records in the amount of times that he blitzed. The Titans were completely the opposite last year under first-year defensive coordinator. They were 28th in the league in blitz frequency. They only blitzed 19.9% of the time. They just relied on their guys out-muscling the opposition on the offensive line and dropped more men into coverage, despite the fact that they only blitzed the 28th most percent in terms of in the NFL. They were 10th in sacks. They were 10th in hurry percentage. So they still were able to generate pressure defensively, despite the fact that they did not send the house nearly as much as I expect the New York Giants to do. So this is going to be a tough game in terms of moving the football against this Tennessee Titans defense. But I'm really excited to see the game plan that the New York Giants come out with. I do think Daniel Jones is going to be able to throw the football in this game. I have my doubts on whether or not he's going to be able to convert touchdowns when we get inside the 20. But I do think there's some weaknesses within that secondary. Of course, a lot of it's going to come down to pass protection, which could be a major weakness. The good news is for the Giants, Landry, their best pass rusher, is out. They're going to need a ton of help, though, in that interior, which is arguably one of the best interior defensive linemen in football. And Simmons, we saw what he did in the playoff game last year, had 8.5 sacks in the regular season. He is going to collapse the pocket, and the Giants are going to need to do everything in their power in order to keep Daniel Jones upright so he can complete some of these throws. Expect to see the Giants trying to complete a lot of throws, quick throws over the middle, getting their playmakers out in space. I'm really excited to see all the pre-snap motion, how they use Wan'Dale Robinson, how they use Kadarius Toney, how they use Saquon Barkley in terms of being a pass catcher. If we're going to move the ball, if we're going to win this game, those guys are going to have big days in the passing game trying to take advantage of that Titan secondary. But Jones is going to have to win this game for us on the offensive side of the ball. I have very little doubts in that. I don't really see this as a game where Saquon Barkley is going to be able to, pick up 5-6 yards routinely on a chunk. Maybe he'll break a big play. I do expect to see the old Saquon back this year, but this will be one of his toughest opponents that he has to go up against week 1 with a very inexperienced offensive line. In terms of the other side of the ball, yeah, you definitely have to account for the rookie wide receiver in Burks, for Woods, for Hooper, for sure. But I think the mission for this Giants defense has to be to force Ryan Tannehill to throw the football. And to do that with the weakness that we have in our linebacking core, I think we're going to have to put 7, 8 in the box routinely. And that means the Giants are going to ask Aaron Robinson and they're going to ask Adoree Jackson to man their men up on an island for a lot of this game, which should scare the hell out of you if you watched Aaron Robinson in the preseason. We'll see. He's going to be put to the test early on week 1. I would assume he's going to be matched up mainly against their rookie with Burks, and look for the Titans to try to target him early and often. But you cannot let them chew up the clock. You cannot let Derrick Henry beat you down from quarter 1 to quarter 4. You just can't do it. You have to do whatever you can in your power to get 8 men up there to try to stuff him and force Ryan Tannehill to beat you with his arm. Won't be easy. Won't be easy to do that. I've heard a lot of people in my streams over the last couple of weeks tell me, all we got to do is stop the run. If you stop the run, they're a one-dimensional football team. You could beat them. That's true. That's all well and good. But nobody runs the football better than the Tennessee Titans when they have a very healthy Derrick Henry. We'll see if Derrick Henry's on a pitch count. Of course, last year he only played 8 games. He did play in the playoff game. We'll see. But that is the obvious focal point going into this week. The pass rush has to get home when the Titans decide to throw, because those corners, like I said, are going to be out on an island. And that is going to be really hard, especially with Kayvon Thibodeau out. I think there's definitely going to be some positives to take out of this game. Like I said, I do actually expect Daniel Jones to have a pretty good game. I do think the offense will show potential throughout the course of this game. But overall, I just think this is way too tough of a matchup week 1 to expect the New York Giants to come out with a win. I pray I'm wrong. I hate the matchup. A team that is basically all rookies in the sense that they're learning both the offensive and defensive scheme, going up against a team that is very experienced into what they want to do on the road in Tennessee, a team in which went 7-2 last year, went to the playoffs. Obviously, they've had some key departures, but I still respect this Titans team. I still think they're a good football team, and I think this will be a really tough matchup week one. Not only am I going to pick the Titans, and I'm going to be as honest as I can with this prediction, I'm actually going to pick them to cover. I'm going to have them winning by about a touchdown, maybe by the tune of, like I said, about 24-17, something like that. That's what I see in this game. But hopefully the Giants have a chance late in the game to find a way to get a W. If they have that, if they have the ball down by less than 6 with 2 minutes left, I'll sign up for that right now. And we'll see if Daniel Jones could drive him down the field. Hopefully the offensive line could stand tall against a really, really strong Titans defense. I just don't see it. Don't love the matchup. I think the schedule will get more favorable week 2 against the Panthers, but this will be a really, really tough week 1 test against the Titans. Hopefully they surprise us. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.